So I'm here today to talk to you about my 1982 El Camino. It's got a 79 front end and it's got a junkyard LS swap. So I'm just going to show you what it looks like just very briefly. And today I'm going to be wiring in a special coolant temperature sensor that allows me to run my factory analog coolant temp gauge. Okay, so yeah, there's a quick view of my car. So what I'm going to do here is show you where the factory sensor goes that runs 2 wires to your ECU, and it's on the driver's side on the front of the head, right in front of the header flange or the manifold. Here's a look, hopefully you can see it there. Okay, so normally you'd have that sensor, the sensor from the standard LS engine. This is a 5.3 in my case, and it has 2 wires coming off of it, and the sensor actually has a clip adapter with 3 pins. So what I did is I went to my local parts supplier, which is Nova Automotive here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and they actually use a distributor called Standard Auto Parts, I guess. It's called, their site is standardbrand.com, and I looked these parts up online, but it's actually cheaper and quicker for me to get it through these guys because with the bad exchange rate and shipping and all that, I decided just to go with them. Plus, if I need to return it, it doesn't cost me any money to ship it back in case it didn't work out right. So here's the sensor, and I had to order the wiring pigtail separate. So the price for the sensor was $51 Canadian plus tax, and the price for the wiring pigtail was $18. So it's not too bad. It was a little pricier than I hoped, but hopefully it'll do the trick, and we'll make sure you keep an eye on that coolant temperature, which is pretty damn important. So if you want to take a closer look, I'll take some pictures and show some close-up of what the sensor looks like, and go from there. Okay, so I decided I'm going to start trying to undo this. So I unplugged the wire, which is pretty straightforward, just a little clip. I'm going to try and spray some of this penetrating oil on it just to loosen it up, but I don't know if it's going to really help much, but I hope it does. Just a small bit. And I figured out that the size is 19, so I'm going to try not to use a wrench if I don't have to. I don't always like using wrenches just because the chance of slipping or something like that. I got a 6-point socket here. Okay, so I just cracked it loose here, and I can kind of turn it with my hands right now. Let's see. I think there might be a chance of me spilling shit everywhere, so I'm just going to crack it open and see if I can do it just enough to... Oh, I thought there was going to be coolant back there. I don't really know much about these sensors, but maybe it only sees coolant when the water pump's running. I don't really know. Anyways, so that was pretty easy to take out. Now, I can see that it's the same thread as the other sensor, so that's a good sign. So I was a little worried about that, but sorry for my camera not focusing there. And that's what it looks like there. It's just got 2 little pins that you can see. Okay, so I got some thread sealer here. I forget what it's called. They use it for plumbing and stuff like that. Just any generic stuff should work. So I'm going to put a small bit of that around the threads and then drive her in there and see what happens. hard to explain, but you kind of want to go in a way that isn't gonna unravel this. So when you screw it in, so I'm bringing it from underneath around from the right side to the left, and hopefully that's not too much or too little, but I think that'll do the trick. It's probably got a good enough seal just with this little washer here. Okay, now I'm going to try and put it in. So hopefully I get my camera set up here. It's actually not too bad. And I'll just try and thread this in here. Sort of close to my sparkle wire, but I don't like messing with those. I don't have to. I'm just going to gently thread this in. You don't want to cross thread that either, because that's going to cause problems. I already have a broken header bolt on the other side of my head, and that wasn't fun. So anyways, so yeah, I got it started here. Should be able to use my same 19 or 3/4 in my case socket. I always recommend using the proper tool for the job, just because you don't want to cause any slipping or. This sensor is a little bit bigger, so if you look inside my socket, it won't actually fit in the hollow there. So I'm gonna have to use a wrench, I guess. Okay, now I don't want to put it too tight or try and crank on it too much. It might strip out your threads there. It is just a brass fitting, so brass is fairly soft. Anyways, there's my old sensor there, so now maybe I can keep it for my next LS build or whatever. Maybe I can sell it to someone who needs it. They're not cheap, so hang on to anything like this that you take off your car, because it's always going to come in handy for something or other. It might just be going back in later down the road, who knows. So now I have this wiring pigtail, the original one, so I'm probably going to just give myself some length here so that I can reuse this later down the road if I need to, and cut it off. And you get some crappy tape on here, so I'm going to take that tape back and just sort of strip the wires and probably going to use a crimp connection of some sort and then tape it back up. Hopefully the heat doesn't get to it and screw it up. If I have some heat shrink, I'll put that on there too. Okay, so I got my new pigtail there, and I'm going to size it up with the old one. Now, I wanted to cut off the same length, but this one goes into the harness here, and I'm not really into messing around with my harness and taking off all that wiring loom and stuff. So I'm just going to go back a few inches and cut these two wires. Now they have these two wires are brown and yellow, and those are the ones you have to make sure go back to the ECU. So I'm going to try and line those up. So let's see here. The right is yellow, which is going to go to my black on the new pigtail. The brown is on the left, and it's going to go to gray, and then my blue here is going to be for my temp gauge on my dash, which is just the factory El Camino temperature gauge. So here goes. So I just stripped those back a little ways. Of course, me being a bone and china shop, it's not always easy, but hopefully that's enough. And I'm going to strip the wires back on this a little ways too. Okay, so I got the wires stripped on there, and I put some crimp connectors on the pigtail. I'm not a huge fan of these, but you know, it's going to be under a lot of stress, so I figured I'll put these on, and I got a little heat shrink there. Hopefully that's enough to cover all three in one. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my engine cover off, which is from a Cadillac 6-liter, and I'm going to take that thermostat wire, which was plumbed into my water pump, but I took it out so I could run the heater hoses. And yeah, I'm going to take my engine cover off and pull that back through and put them all together in one, and hopefully it works. I'm just sort of praying this is going to work here. Anyways. Okay guys, so I just want to show you what's going on here. So if I look at the top of the harness, the gray is on the left and the black is on the right, and the old one, the brown is on the left and the yellow is on the right. It's kind of hard to see because it's old wires and grease and everything on it. So that's what I've done. I've connected as so. So you got the gray on the left going to the brown and the black on the right going to the yellow, and then the blue one down below goes to my thermostat on my dash, my gauge, and it's green in this case. Yours might not be green, depends on the car and depends on what wiring the person used when they're installing it. Okay, so I got it all wired in. Sorry for the bad lighting there. Yeah, so there it is, it's wired in. I got it decently tight. Hopefully it doesn't leak. I might zip tie it to the spark plug wire later on. We'll see if it moves around, but I definitely got to tighten it up here against the wire loom. Put a little bit of heat shrink on it. It didn't shrink down as much as I wanted, but should be enough to at least protect it a bit. If I have to, I'll put a bit more bit of tape on there. I don't like using iso tape because when it gets hot it separates, but whatever does the trick. This is just a budget build, right? This is just a 5.3 out of a Silverado. Yeah, so I'm going to start it up and hopefully everything works. Hopefully the ECU still gets its reading of the temperature for the thermostat, and hopefully I can see it on my dash too. A bit more light there. Okay, so the gauge seems to be working. My gauge isn't the best. I don't even know if it's accurate, to be honest. Might be able to measure the voltage coming out that wire and see. I'm not really sure. If you guys have any information, let me know. Normally it seems to read pretty accurate. Like it runs around 100 degrees, maybe 90, between 90 and 100. I've had it heat up a few times doing burnouts and stuff like that, and it's been over like 110, 115. So it seems to be fairly accurate. At least gives me an idea if I'm overheating or not. These engines are pretty reliable, so I trust them. One last bit there, if you want to get a hold of me, the best way to do is on my email. It's Dane, DANE-92 at hotmail.com. I also do trifecta performance tuning if you guys are interested in that, ECU flashing and stuff like that. I can answer questions about that, give you how-to videos, whatever you want. Follow me on Instagram at performancetuned, all one word, and thanks for watching.